Welcome back to Conversations about the C Word. My name is Kyla P. Barnes. I am your financial chef and coach. And today we have a very interesting lineup of topics. We're going to bring Dean on the line to cover a few details as well as myself. The Conversations about the C Word is anything involving culture, cash, collisions, Christ, you name it. It is relevant topics and conversations about things that matter. So with that, we're going to get started. Dean, can you hear me? Are you still on the line?
I can hear you.
Nice. Sounds great. Okay. So, Dean, we had a few topics that we were going to discuss today. Feel free to chime in. Feel free to, agree, disagree. This is going to be recorded in one take, one call. That way we can give content as pure and as real as if you were actually in a natural conversation with us. I think that works. What do you think, Dean?
Yeah, I like it. It's pure and it's raw.
That's right. That's right. I was going to say something highly inappropriate about raw, but I'm going to sustain that for right now.
I can take it.
Okay, so the topics we have today, and we may need to do this in segments. So me and Dean selected 4 topics. We're going to try to get through them in this call. If not, we're going to have to do this call in segments, which is okay because this is for our listening audience's edification. But we have taxes, taxation now or later, or the avoidance and how to not pay taxes or how to defer, delay taxes. That's all one subject. We also have advice to your 20-year-old self, because Dean and myself, while we're staggered in ages, we have surpassed 20, we've surpassed 30, and we have surpassed 40 years of age. We also have assets versus liabilities to discuss, and we have fraud, the finer things. Dean, which do you select?
Oh my. Well, I did look at the fraud subject, and I have a little bit of a story with a client situation to share on that, and a personal one that happened to me.
Okay.
So, that's one that I could, definitely talk about for a few minutes.
Okay, let's get into fraud, the finer things. What you got? You go first, and then I'll go second, and we'll piggyback after each other.
Yeah. So, one quick hit statistic that I was pretty shocked about. It's I believe it was a global fraud number of $1 trillion.
Wow.
Right?
Uh-huh.
Gets stolen from people on an annual, and only 4% of that is recovered.
4%?
4% gets recovered.
Wait a minute. What about all the AI that's out there in the world? Why are we not able to, go get it back? What about the Federal Reserve? Everything is trackable, or so they say. So why can't we go get it back?
Some of those are questions. They're great questions, but I think my story will help a little bit with that. I don't know all the answers. I will say this: in the little bit of reading I did, the AI is also being used for more fraud,
Gotcha,
right? So, just like everything, I believe the human brain wants simple answers. They want black and white. They want yes and no. But almost everything in the world is shades of gray, somewhere in the middle.
Sure.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
And so everything comes with good and bad consequence, right? Benefit and consequence.
Mm-hmm.
And I find that a lot of times when we help clients make choices for them, it really should be about what matters most to them, right?
Okay.
What they're, granted, there are some paranoias and biases that we all have that aren't necessarily based on fact or reality.
True.
Right. So sometimes it's, you're trying to break down some walls of resistance to the ideas that really matter, the rules, for example, right?
Right.
These are the laws. We can't break these, right?
True.
sometimes people are misinformed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So,
Mm-hmm.
um,
So what happened with your client?
say that again.
So what happened with your client?
Oh my! So really nice, really nice. Oh, she was in her late 70s when I first met her. Right?
Okay.
She was a widow of, I believe, 17 years. She had a trust that had not been updated. In other words, the co-trustee and beneficiary of said assets was her late spouse of 17 years prior.
Whoa!
Right?
I see where this is going.
Yeah. She had a paid for home, I believe two pensions, Social Security, in the neighborhood of, memory serves, like $750,000 in invested assets.
Ooh.
Right?
Okay.
She was very well positioned for everything she needed.
Sure.
Right?
Sure.
And we got along well. Right? We did a number of different things to improve her situation. I drove her to the attorney to update her trust.
Okay.
Okay. And have it signed and do all the stuff, right? And I don't remember the exact timeline, but a year probably into the whole relationship, she started she'd call me randomly, and it's an emergency, I need money. Okay, all right, let's try to cool the emotion, because
Sure.
I believe with experience we have all found that emotional decision making is usually something we regret.
Right.
Right?
Right. Mm-hmm.
So let's peel apart the facts. Let's look inside and let's figure out what's the best option here, and how do we learn from it, in hopes that we don't have this happen again.
Sure.
Right? Well, fast forward 6 to 9 months later, I find out that, and this has happened multiple times, she finally comes forth with the fact that all of what she'd been telling me was completely a lie. She'd been getting phone calls from somebody.
No.
Oh, yeah. Telling her that they loved her. They developed this amazing relationship. They were it was like a publisher's clearinghouse kind of scam.
Mm-hmm.
Right? Where, hey, send us, and in the industry that we're in finance, right?
Mm-hmm.
Annual money laundering training.
Right.
101 is, if somebody tells you, hey, send us money and we'll send you money back, money laundering right away.
Mm-hmm.
Right? So, if you send us this, and of course it was always cash, right? Send us cash to this address, and they were all around different places.
Yep.
And send us gift cards, and send all this non-trackable stuff, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Well, I got everybody, as soon as I knew enough to realize that this was this was a scam.
Okay.
I got everybody in the world involved in it. Her family members, she had several siblings. She had no children.
Okay.
She had several siblings. A lot of, family angst there.
Gotcha. Okay.
Right?
Okay.
And I don't remember the name of there's in each state, I'm sure, but in Indiana, where I'm located, there's an organization, you call and you say, hey, report elder abuse, let's say, right?
Okay.
Reported it to the company, reported it to everybody, right?
Mm-hmm.
But at the end of the day, it doesn't matter what you're spending your money on. Nobody can forcibly stop you from doing it.
That's true.
And she acknowledged that she knew what she was doing, and she wasn't going to stop.
That's the worst.
And other than getting a court order to deem her, somehow mentally incapable or incompetent, right?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
There's nothing in the world you can do. And this goes back to, it was it was just post COVID or right around COVID time, because I remember the dip. She took out a big chunk right in the dip that happened early COVID time, right?
Right.
Which, as you know, is you don't want to sell when you're down, right?
True.
So between taxes and penalties and this thing and that thing of and selling when you're down, right? She took a huge hit. She would have easily in excess of probably $1 million, $1.2 million kind of range.
Okay.
Right. If that hadn't happened, but we got to a point where we had to part ways, and I chose to terminate our relationship.
Wow.
Because at the end of the day, you're going against everything we know to be right. And she had there were multiple other cases, but well, even by the time I terminated our professional relationship, she had sent this guy hundreds of thousands of dollars.
Ooh.
I added up all the withdrawals she had made, and I mean, it was, I don't remember, $250,000, $300,000. But and I called the police called me, IMPD, right? We had all kinds of people involved in this, and the long story short is I mean, hey, it was coming from somewhere, I want to say in Western Africa. You're not gonna find those people.
No.
You know what I mean?
I do.
Once your money's gone, it's gone. And I feel terrible. I mean, it was literally, there were a few weeks in that space of time where I spent 20 to 30 hours in a week just dealing with her situation, trying to figure it out. And it was utterly exhausting and emotional, like weight on my shoulders, right?
Absolutely.
I felt like Sisyphus every day, getting up to, I got to roll the rock.
That's hard. That's hard. I had a scenario. Actually, I have too many scenarios. It's getting pretty sad. The longer that you stay in an industry, particularly like finance, medical, technology, materials, or even the government, as long as you stay in a particular industry long enough, you can see the evolution, you can see the crashes, you can see the things that nobody's monitoring, you can see the loopholes. That's probably why the people in an industry, if they stay long enough, they're able to manipulate the system. Yeah. Because they have observed something, they've been a part of something that we're only privileged to once we have a reaction with that thing. And I am saying this relatively close to, I have my own private practice where I am practicing approaching finance at a more practical level for people who don't have access to wealth, who don't have access to good principles, or who have divorced it. And I have seen in my own clients, in like a referral of their network, at least 16 cases this year. And we're only in June. We're only mid of the year. And the cases just keep getting worse. The elders are aware of it, just like in your case, but they also are blind to the fact that it is deteriorating everything. But on the other side of it, you have really, really young kids who are doing the exact same thing. So it's like the mindset of the older individuals at this current time is mimicking the mindset of the younger children, which is low ambition. They have thrown away their character subset that they, taught their kids to have character and value. They have decided to go into a high level of consumerism. They decided to put value and stock in these materialistic things that if it's in a house and the house burns down, it's all gone, Yeah. And so I have monitored that, like almost moving gradually as well as sitting still. And like the cases just keep getting worse. There were a few people here in my own community that I was talking with while I was waiting for my pizza. I was getting like a soda water and gin. And they were just mentioning that, I'm just sitting here because this is my last $20. And I was just like, oh my God. I was like, why is it your last $20? And they were like, you got a few hours? I was like, actually I do. And I said, and I had a conversation with them because, I'm in a private practice for myself. And certainly enough, they had a scam come upon them from a reliable source. It had all of the bells and whistles, the verification of the code. We're going to send it to you via email. And it was from a line of credit that they never closed 8 years ago. They moved twice. And the person with the current state of AI, or just a person who's very good at being terrible, was able to piece together a profile, call them, work with someone else internally, route the number off this continent, and scam them out of about, I think, $230,000. But they only had $235,000.
My.
And
Yeah.
I mean, they filed with the FBI, they filed with the bank, but the people called from actual, the bank. It said U.S. Bank. Here's your code. Put this in. Yeah, it was a very intricate scheme. Mm-hmm.
I had a call that it literally, when it rang on my phone, it said Charles Schwab.
No.
I swear. And for those listeners that don't know, that's how Kyla and I know each other. We both worked there for a good number of years.
For sure.
I got a call from that. Okay, hey, I already think reliable, right?
Right.
And they're like, hey, now I will, and I will say that the individual, my first cue, the individual's dialect was somewhere Middle Eastern.
Yes.
And at least from my experience, and things do change, but at least from my experience, Schwab does not offshore call center people.
True.
They have them here.
True.
They have them here.
Yep.
So I was a little like, okay. Luckily for me, I'm familiar enough with Schwab. I'm not buying this 100%. The dude says, hey, we think there's a fraud charge on your card. Last 4 digits, blah, blah, blah.
Wow.
This and this. I mean, he knew a lot of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm, mm-hmm.
He knew my name. He knew the last 4 digits of my card. But then he asked me for, I don't remember if it was expiration or the code on the back. You see where this is going?
Yeah.
And I think I gave him 1. And then I'm like, I know it was a work from home day for my wife because she's across the room looking at me like, who is that? And why are you giving them? And I'm like, I'm muting the phone. I put it on speaker actually.
Okay.
Right?
Uh-huh.
So we're both hearing it. And I'm like, nah. If I give you this, then you got the whole thing. You got everything you need to use this card, right?
Basically. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So I hang up. The dude wanted me to confirm the whole account number.
Wow.
And I'm like, click.
Wow.
Call Charles Schwab right away. And they're
Mm-hmm.
like, okay, we'll issue this, we'll do that. I don't remember what all they did, but they also said, this has been on the rise. There's some kind of tech where they can put a mask on or use a number that's not actually theirs to use that says it comes through as your financial institution.
Wow. That's just incredible. That's just so incredibly scary. I mean, our information is not protected. We have another subset of that, which we're not going to talk about during this call, but there's just so much exposure. There's more risk now, I think, in my own personal opinion, than there was 3.5 years ago.
Oh, it's crazy. Well, not to rabbit hole on AI too much, but I heard a podcast recently talking about a prediction that AI increases by 300% this year.
Goodness gracious.
Imagine that on an exponential basis, right?
That's scary.
Because it's a multiplier. It's not 300 plus 300. It's 300 times 300, right?
Ooh.
Yeah, it becomes unfathomable really quick.
So what would you say to the listeners that they can do to protect themselves, protect their loved ones? Like, what direct advice do you give? And then I'll give my advice.
Yeah, so I mean, I try to, like, for example, my father is almost 83 years old, right?
Oh, blessings to
And
him. Okay.
yeah, and he's still, I mean, he's been, he's been a client for I don't know how many years.
Okay.
Uh, so, so I have a little more purview maybe than the average person into their parents' finances or the people around them, but I would share with other people that are important to you the experiences you're having or hear about, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I would be very, very cautious. I mentioned being a little cynical. Well, I shouldn't say a lot cynical in my, advanced years,
Mm-hmm.
because with these experiences comes a lot of cynicism. I mean,
True.
back to real quick. So approximately 2 months ago, I went to Chicago for 3 days, 2 nights,
Okay.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And not super familiar to me. I have to go through multiple toll booth bridges, right?
Yes. Uh-huh.
And I did have a problem at one of them
Okay.
with my card not scanning, and it just, and I wasn't sure if I didn't get double charged or charged at all. I couldn't tell what the heck was going on. And new things like that are stressful for everybody. So I'm stressing out. I'm not sure. I get this text message. This is only like a week or two ago, right?
Mm-hmm.
I get this text message that looks pretty legit that says it's from it didn't say BMV. I think it said DMV. And every state is different what they call their Bureau of Motor Vehicles or
Sure.
Department of whatever, right?
Sure.
So that one was a little weird. But hey, it could have been that Illinois does it different and I was across the state line. I don't know. But it said something very specifically about northern Indiana, and I was like, okay, I was just there. That sounds legit, right?
Okay.
And it threatened anytime there's fear involved,
Mm-hmm.
shut it down
Gotcha.
and never click the link. Never, never, never click the link. That's one of the most important things, right?
Mm-hmm.
But I got that same text 3 times from different numbers. I blocked and reported on my phone
Mm-hmm.
each time I got it, and I'd get it from a new number.
Gotcha.
And I'd get it from a new number. So, and then I saw a friend on Facebook that posted that exact script that was texted to them,
Mm-hmm.
same as I got, right?
Gotcha.
So,
Mm-hmm.
usually there's little things in the either the spelling, the email address, the whatever it is. There's usually little nuanced things that you don't see. I'll give you another, for instance. Last summer, my Facebook account, which had been running my personal one had been over 10 years, right?
Mm-hmm.
Had a pretty big, following. My sideline hobby business page,
Okay.
for my dog, the dogs that I raise.
Yep. Yep.
I had like in a year, I had 3,000 followers. I felt pretty good about that. All that got hacked. They sent me a phishing email.
Wow.
It said that someone from some faraway place, I don't remember, I think it was Taiwan, had tried to get into my account at 4 something in the morning.
Get out
First
of
thing in
here.
the morning, I open it up, I see that email, and I'm like, oh no. It
Mm-hmm.
says, click this link to redo your password.
Mm.
And I fell for it.
Dang
And
it.
the unfortunate thing about Facebook, right,
Mm-hmm.
is they will not help you in any way, shape, or
No.
form. They have no customer service.
Exactly.
And by the way,
Mm-hmm.
my wife, who's much better at tech than me, when that first happened, she's like, just call Facebook. Call Facebook customer service. Guess what? There are dozens of numbers out there that are labeled
Yes.
that way on Google, and
Yes.
they go straight to the scammers.
They go straight to the scammers. Yep.
And they will tell you, and they did. I got partway through this one too. They said, okay, download this app and then give us the username and password you just set up. And I'm like, no. Because
Gotcha.
nobody ever should ask for your password. They should never know your password.
True.
Control.
I put that on my Instagram. I was logging into, when I used to work in Chicago, I had Consumers Credit Union, which was Andigo, and Consumers Credit Union absorbed Andigo. And I went with that credit union because it was close. I had great savings rates. It had great money market rates. I was like, oh, this is fantastic, especially if the market is going to pull back. Sometimes I don't like all my money in one place, but I don't necessarily need to be every somewhere. So I have a local bank. I have the Schwab Fidelity Bank, and I may have, I think that's it. So what I'm saying is that I put on my Instagram last week a copy of what was on Consumer Credit Union's website, but ironically, it's on every bank's website, including Schwab, Fidelity, Goldman Sachs, Wells Fargo, and Vanguard, and Bank of America. And it says, do not give your information to anyone calling on our behalf. We would never ask for your login information or any other information to verify that you are a client, period. So I put that on my Instagram. I was just like, people should be aware of this because fraud is happening at a very silent level. So my advice to the listeners would be that, the days of carrying all your cards in your wallet, we got to bring that down. If you don't need that card, leave that card at home. Typically, when I travel, I only have 2 cards, insurance information, driver's license, maybe my library card. That's right, I'm loyal. I also don't put my card in any other ATM that is not anchored to the ground and bolted to the wall, or that has a reputable name in which I can say, hey, you did not send me out $200, even though I requested $200, because sometimes the ATM may group dollars together, or they may be short. It's infrequent, but it can happen. So I would tell people listening, don't put your card in any other ATM that looks like it can be picked up and put on a truck and put back down, which happens to be at a lot of these like fairs, like the State Fair, Louder Than Life here in Louisville, as well as, any other affair out there. The other thing that I have noticed is that if you go to get gas or Walmart and it looks like the device has been tampered with, or that it has a layer of plastic, or there's something protruding, or it may even be as thin as like the layer that you get on your cell phones when you first get it, that you have to pull it off. Oh, yeah. It's just that thin, but that is what can pick up the swiping, the tracking, or even be a blueprint that once the laser goes through it, when you slide it through it, you're able to have all your information on the card printed off. And it only takes one person to go in there, and then they can remove the sheet. I mean, it's such a divisive scheme. So I would say that people should, if you have information stored in your phone, you have too many cards in your wallet, reduce that, pull that down. If you have any old accounts that have information in it, pull that down. If you have an account that you have opened up and you just moved, or you decided you didn't want to use that anymore, please take the time to go back and close that account, because someone is monitoring your inactivity and they can prey upon you.
So you just triggered a memory from, this is quite a while ago, but I heard someone talking about fraud on a podcast. Again, it's probably been 3 to 5 years ago. He said, very, very common for people who travel and stay in hotels. Mm-hmm. Don't connect to the Wi-Fi. It's not secure.
Yes.
And that there are predators that sit in the lobby connected to see who comes up, right? Who connects to the Wi-Fi. Especially for those of us, it's hard to remember passwords, right?
Right.
And sometimes people, very commonly, will record on their device, like on their phone, in the notes, or somewhere, all their passwords, right? They know this. They'll go in, copy, whatever, get all your information and rob you blind in a matter of moments, and you won't even know it's gone, right?
Wow.
So don't use the Wi-Fi at hotels traveling, because you don't know the source and it is not secure.
Wow. Well, this has been a fantastic conversation. Thank you, Dean, for tuning in. Oh my God, there's so many pearls that we dropped. So you can check out this podcast on YouTube or anywhere you get your podcasting. You can look for conversations about the C word. Like us, subscribe to our channel under Kyla Art. Check us out online at www.oneginglas.com. That website again is www.oneginglas.com.